Hello, BookTube. This is a shelf tour, the 9th bookcase, and the 6th and final shelf. So we'll start off with some Irish literature. We have here rather old copies of James Joyce's Ulysses. See the bow there. This let's see. The format of a book can affect its readability has long been known. Rarely can it have been so strikingly exemplified as by the Bodley Head's new edition of James Joyce's Ulysses. The work has been reset in a handy volume produced. It is a great improvement at times. So this is the new edition, the 9th impression. You see right there. And this is the Bodley Head, London, Sydney, Toronto. This is 9th impression of 1968. It is a handy little size. I mean, it's probably seen better days, but it's not too bad. And then we have a 3-volume set here. The Walter Mackin, Seek the Fairlane, the first book in an acclaimed Irish trilogy. Let's see this map in there, and another. So here's a little intro here. Walter Mackin, author and dramatist, died in April '67 in his native Galway at the age of 51. At 17, he began writing plays and also joined the Galway Gaelic Theatre as an actor. Let's see. So, the historic trilogy was published a month before his death. Huh. So this is a Pan book, 1959. First published by Pan Books in '62. Sort of an interesting history to this, huh? So the second volume is, I also have in a Pan book with a different edition. Sort of a neat looking paperback. And this one is 62. Oh, this edition 65. In the first half of the 19th century, Ireland's most desolate period, the landlords ground down the tenant farmers, injustice was rife, and starvation stalked through the land. An age of oppression, monster meetings, tithe war, and degradation. And then the final volume. This is the Scorching Land, the 3rd volume in this trilogy. Sort of odd that I have them broken up this way, but it's how I found them. It's a vivid and memorable novel set in Dublin, 1916, during the Easter Rebellion. So I'm going to move from Mr. Mackin to Robertson Davies. This is another Penguin. This is the Cornish trilogy, The Rebel Angel, What's Bred in the Bone, and The Lyre of Orpheus. And this edition is Penguin Books. And the dates on these are always hard to get when they're... So this one volume is from '92. I really enjoy his writing, especially this. The Merry Heart, Reflections on Reading, Writing, and the World of Books by Robertson Davies. And this was a delightful read. Isn't he great? Look at him, he looks like a character. Viking, and it came out in 1996. If I remember right, there was going to be, or there was another volume in this, let's see, there's a way to figure it out here. I thought he did a book that was similar, like a companion book. Oh yeah, he's preparing a new book on the theater, or his widow was. So there's, and I read this and loved it. And I remember thinking at the time, I'll find the one on the theater, and I just forgot all about it. So now maybe I'll go back and look for it. because I really like this book. Here we have another Canadian author, and this is Thomas H. Riddell. This is His Majesty's Yankees, historical novel. Set in Nova Scotia during the American Revolution, pits patriotism, those loyal to Britain, against revolution, those bound by family ties to New England. And there are a lot of family ties. And then moving away from Canada, we go to Jose Saramago, The History of the Siege of Lisbon. Excellent novel I've talked about on this channel before. Translated from the Portuguese by Giovanni Pontero, Haverhill Press, London, 96. Then a collection of these jam Coetzee thing. I went through a little period. It didn't last long. I started with him, oddly enough, with these literary essays. And this is Stranger Shores, Literary Essays, 1986 to 1999. J.M. Coetzee. It's Viking, and it was published in 2001. And then right next to it, the next thing I read was J.M. Coetzee, Inner Workings, Literary Essays from 2000 to 2005. And this also is Viking. Had an introduction by Derek Attridge, and this is from 2007. So I enjoyed the essays, and, you know, so I thought, well, everybody reads them, I better go find some. The next thing is Slow Man, and this is also Viking, and this was 2005, the novel. And then Disgrace, which I don't have a dust jacket on. Viking, and this was 1999. I liked them. Not really to my taste totally, but I did enjoy them. Then Nadine Gordimer, Get a Life. And that was New York, Farrar, Straus and Giroux. And that's 2005. Then we move from there to absolutely magnificent book, Black Lamb and Gray Falcon by Rebecca West. There you go. So this is a Viking press. Let's get some of these. These are always a bad idea to put these articles inside the book. They usually have acid in the paper, cheaper paper, or both papers. So here's the Endpapers. Journey Through Yugoslavia. And this came out in, this one volume edition is from 1943. So you wouldn't expect great paper in the first place. But this is a very, very famous book. I'll give you some of her travels through that part of the world. And this is a very, very nice edition of it. So I tend to, I'm not going to put that back in there, I'll throw it away. I tend to enjoy travel books that are themselves history. They're caught in time. And this would be one of them. The other ones I can think of are like Patrick Leigh for More, those types of things. Well, I guess anything after it's been out for a while, but those are what come to mind. This next one is Sigrid Undstedt, Kristin Lavransdatter, which includes the books, the novels, The Bridal Wreath, The Mistress of Hussaby, and The Cross. This may have had a dust jacket at one time. It's quite beautiful without the dust jacket. So it was first originally published in 3 volumes. Let's see, this is translated by Charles Archer and J.S. Scott. It's and it was originally out of Oslo. So this is Alfred A. Knopf, 1986, New York. You can see it down there at the bottom. I read these years and years ago. Really, you know, enjoyed them. They're there's a different world to me. So I would recommend those. And then this, still got the border sticker. There's a piece of history. This is They Were Counted, Miklos Banfi, forward by Patrick Lee for More, who we were just talking about. So it's The Writing on the Wall, the Transylvania Trilogy by Miklos Banfi, Book 1, They Were Counted. Translated by Patrick Thursfield and Catelyn Banfi-Jelen. Forward by Patrick Lee for More. I did enjoy this. I don't know why I never followed up. Maybe when I read it, the other ones weren't out yet or hadn't been printed. I don't remember. But anyhow, let me see what they say here. Painting an unrivaled portrait of the vanished world of pre-1914 Hungary, this story is told through the eyes of two young Transylvanian cousins, Count Balint Abadi and Count Laszlo Gajoffi. Shooting parties in great country houses, turbulent scenes in Parliament, and the luxury of life in Budapest provide the backdrop for this gripping, prescient novel, forming a chilling indictment of upper-class frivolity and political folly, in which good manners cloak indifference and brutality. So, Patrick Lee for More, who did the forward, spent some time there right before, would have been in this time period, so maybe that's, I can't remember. Maybe that's why it's got to be why they had him do the introduction. So the next one here is another one of my favorite books. This is Miloradovitch, The Dictionary of the Khazars. He used to have a dust jacket, not anymore. But you'll notice something odd here. It says male edition. Here's the Endpapers. Translated from the Serbo-Croatian by Kristina Privacek-Zorik. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the male edition of the dictionary. The female edition is almost identical, but not quite. Be warned that one paragraph is crucially different. The choice is yours. Alfred A. Knopf, New York, 1988. And the Khazars are trying to choose between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And there are power in that part of the world. And each book, the yellow book is the Hebrew sources on the question. And it's a very different book and well worth a read. And next is Peter Nadas, Fire and Knowledge, Fiction and Essays. And this is Farrar, Straus and Giroux, New York. It's translated from the Hungarian by Imre Goldstein, and it is from 2007. And then, By Night Under the Stone Bridge by Leo Perutz. There he is. This is set in Prague in the 16th century. And this is translated from the German by Erich Mosbacher, Arcade Publishing, New York, Little Brown and Company. And this is from 1989. Then we got a Bruiser here, Vikram Chanda, Sacred Games. This one is HarperCollins Publishers, 2007. Let's see here. Satya, one of the few Sikhs in the Mumbai police force, is used to being identified by his turban, beard, and sharp cut of his trousers. But the silky Sikh is now past 40, his marriage is over, and his career prospects are on the slide. When Sartaj gets an anonymous tip-off as the secret hideout of the legendary boss of G Company, he's determined that he'll be the one to collect the prize. And finally, it's an odd volume to have here, but a lot of you will remember this. This is the Colleen McCullough's The Thorn Birds. And this was the rage at one time. And it's a robust, romantic saga of a singular family, the Clerys. It begins in the early part of this century, which was be the last century, when Paddy Cleary moves his wife Fiona and their 7 children to Drogheda, the vast Australian sheep station owned by his aristocratic and childless older sister. So, The Thorn Birds. That would have, Harper Row Publishers, New York, 1987. And I pretty much guarantee you this is a book club edition. Yeah, there's no price. Yes, it's right there, book club edition. So it won't last forever. And there's the author. So that's it. We end with the Thorn Birds. Bookcase number 9, shelf 6. Thank you, BookTube.